What's on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering. I know not supposed to work Sundays, but I'm new to this thing. In fact, I'm leaving for church service in 25 minutes, and that's in honor of Charlie. The first time I will have willingly gone to church probably my entire life, and my hope is that I continue to do so, and I inspire others to do so. In fact, there's several of my friends that have texted me after seeing my videos or talked to me and said that they're going to be there today for their first time too, so that's great. There's something very interesting going on. I was in our Discord last night, and there's just like a chat room, and there's some pretty strong evidence that multiple people, as many as 6, all knew about this incident ahead of time, and they were also all trans. And apparently the FBI is now opening up an investigation into several trans and far left groups in Utah, because this thing seems to be a lot bigger than I certainly knew it was bigger than a lone individual, but let's take a look at what we're at. Obviously, I'm coming every time there's like a chunk of stuff to share, I'm putting out a video, so make sure you subscribe. If you want to be on top of it, join our members area at thequartering.com/join. Most of these stories are breaking there hours and hours before I can even, get a video done. And there's also a great community there. There's new churchgoer group. There's, EDC groups, carry groups. There's fantasy football groups. There's all sorts of stuff in there that is, it's just a good community. And so I'll leave a link in the description. Otherwise, it's just quartering.com/join. Speculation now grows that Charlie Kirk's assassin was tied to a leftist network after his trans boyfriend followed someone posting, quote, "We did it," minutes after Kirk's passing, and multiple out-of-state cars were seen visiting the assassin's home weeks before the hit. Now you see this. The family member said she saw twigs. This is the trans boyfriend. Brought in question for police. By the way, I am 100% convinced that the boyfriend absolutely, positively knew what was going on. Of course, he told him. Of course. Come on. Are we stupid? We're not the left. The Post observed Saturday that no one was at the $1,800 a month townhouse Robinson and Twiggs were believed to have shared. A neighbor claimed 2 weeks ago several people driving cars with out-of-state plates were seen going in and out. They did not give off a good vibe, the neighbor said. Now, a lot of people say, hey, there's a college area in here, around in between these two, it's possibly a lot of out-of-state people. But the thing is, neighbors generally know what's out of place. So if you were used to seeing a bunch of cars with out-of-state plates in your neighborhood, you wouldn't say, hey, there was a bunch of cars with out-of-state plates in your neighborhood. Certainly not, the vibe. And we see, obviously, this ChurBum75M who tweeted, "We effing did it." And this is allegedly the trans boyfriend of the individual. Now you see this. That's just the beginning. Here's a post from Aesthetica. Meet Skylar Webster. Skylar is a radical far-left trans individual who had advanced knowledge of Kirk's assassination. 5 days before the posting, 5 days before the incident, he posted, quote, "You guys, I have something big coming soon. Just be sure to check the news. You'll know it when you see it." Then right after the shooting, he followed up and quote tweeted that post saying, "Well, that's that. And another chud bites the dust." He followed up those tweets with a few other posts celebrating Charlie's death. Skylar is an iSchool student at University of Washington. We found these tweets. Skylar immediately locked his account. Clearly, he has not yet been contacted by the FBI. Please share this video with the FBI on Twitter or whatever. Why haven't they investigated him or other trans accounts who seem to have prior knowledge of the incident? Of course, you see here. Well, you see, you guys, it's something big. This is on September 5th. And, well, that's that. So they knew. Of course, Skylar's real name is Luke Webster. You can see here. So Aesthetica, sorry, seems to be doing very, very good work. Very, very good work. This is the boy that Tyler was dating. Again, a neighbor claimed 2 weeks ago that several people driving cars with out-of-state plates were seen going in and out and did not give off a good vibe. Also, someone saying he wasn't liberal. Why would you think he's rational? Blah, 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 blah. He had a trans furry boyfriend, which I've got a video on that. I'll put that on my Jeremy Hambley channel because it's more, I try to keep the big news on the quartering, and then my Jeremy Hambley channel, other ancillary updates, on that second channel, which is linked in the description. His family and friends said he had turned to extreme leftist ideology. His trans boyfriend's family and friends say that the boyfriend had turned to far left extreme ideology. All but one shell casings were tagged with far left messaging, and he took the life of a conservative. I mean, these people are still obviously gaslighting like crazy. You see, this new info was now found of Tyler Robinson's trans boyfriend posting in an ACAB, which is all cops are, whatever, subreddits dating 5 years ago. There's absolutely no way the trans boyfriend was not involved. I agree, by the way. I agree. I mean, there is absolutely no possible way that the trans boyfriend didn't know about this. No way. None. There's no way that the trans boyfriend wasn't involved in planning it, in my opinion. But I will say there's no way that this guy kept it to himself. There's just no way. If you look at this, another far left trans account also had prior knowledge of Charlie's assassination. That's now 6 trans individuals that all had prior knowledge of that murder. Where's the FBI? Here's another person. This is the trans individual that had prior knowledge. Oh, this is the other person that had prior knowledge. Also, according to Insider Wire, the FBI has launched an investigation into several leftist groups for alleged prior knowledge of the Charlie Kirk assassination. This is not even, this isn't even up for debate. Here's a great infographic showing, essentially, Poll is assembling proof of people who seem to have had prior knowledge of Charlie's passing. You see this person was Sky Valdez. You see Ryan Tier. Please explain to me how, there was a book for sale on Amazon the day of his death, published one day before the assassination. Somebody put out a book called The Shooting of Charlie Kirk and was published one day before the assassination. Did you know that? They listed it on Amazon. I think it was just some AI slop, but, I think Amazon, in order to list on their marketplace, I assume you have to have some sort of, payment details, whatever. So whoever put up that book, I would say it's not totally unreasonable to think they not only had prior knowledge, but were trying to profit from it. These are not isolated. Here's this Skylar individual. Charlie Kirk is coming to my college tomorrow, and I really hope somebody evaporates him literally. Then let's just say something big will happen tomorrow. Somebody told him. There's another. All of these are biological men pretending to be women, by the way. Again, it seems that a broad network of Trantifa types across the nation had prior knowledge of the attack. Very troubling, and we're only seeing the ones who were stupid enough to post about it online and leave it up for several days. Remember this, too. Tyler Robinson was in a Discord with at least 20 other people, including this guy, allegedly, who apparently had prior knowledge of the incident. I mean, and again, these people knew. The FBI allegedly is investigating them. This is not new. We know, we can go back to the Ziz cult. Remember? That was they took the life of that, was it a highway patrolman? Another trans cult? That everyone just forgot about that. Everybody just forgot about that. It's not just Antifa, but it's, you know, these dark places on the internet where these people plan these things and seemingly nobody's watching. They use Discord or Signal or Telegram. They plan these things, or perhaps I believe Antifa has its own kind of secure messaging app. And again, is it necessarily specifically Antifa? Not necessarily, but in the Venn diagram of like the Antifa, ACAB, like the really route, I'm talking about further left than just like your average everyday BLM supporter, okay? Your average everyday BLM supporter is just like a brainwashed liberal. I'm talking about the people that use terminology like ACAB, all cops are bastards, or you say, or like, you know, they talk about fascism and they talk about bashing the fash, and they talk about, these are the people, right? In the Venn diagram of BLM, yeah, they're in there, but there's a even more radical group of people that many of them seem to be LGBTQ, just in my anecdotal analysis of it, that seem to have really, really aggressive and violent tendencies. I mean, you have, again, there's a lot of people that seem to have prior knowledge. Here's Jack writing, the FBI opens a probe into multiple leftist groups over alleged prior knowledge. I mean, there was a Democratic Socialist. I think that this is going to be big. I think that this is going to be an investigation that is, again, when it happened, I knew it wasn't just some lone shooter. Everybody knew that. The FBI came out and said, I was acting alone. I was like, bull. His trans boyfriend was in on it, in my opinion. And these other people in the Discord, there was somewhere where these people were communicating, where they coordinated this and, you know, and planned this. And it was leaked to several individuals. At the very minimum, let's say at the very minimum, these multiple people that seemingly had prior knowledge posted about it. They at least knew it was going to happen. Maybe they didn't take it. Maybe they weren't involved in the planning, but they knew it was going to happen. And really, not reporting a crime is not a crime. I'm not totally sure how that would work, but we definitely need a very deep dive. All of these people need to be found and sat in a room with a hot light over them. And we need to get to the bottom of this. I will continue to report on this. Again, if you made it to the end, join our Discord, thequartering.com/join. Stuff is breaking there basically every minute. Get over there. I'll leave a link in the description. Also, subscribe to the second channel, the Jeremy Hambley channel. I'm going to have 2 more videos today on there, and I'll have 1 more video here on the main. There's just too much news to not work. I've got to leave in 6 minutes for church, so I've got to go. We'll talk to you again later today.